Howdy ho, gang! Welcome back to another episode of Home Media Reviews. This review is on the third and final Punisher film, Punisher Warzone. This was the second Punisher film I saw after the 2004 version, and when I first saw it, I had very mixed feelings about it. What do I think about it now? We're gonna have to talk about that later. First off, let's get started with the history section of Punisher Warzone. So as I mentioned last week, Punisher Warzone was originally written to be a sequel to 2004's Punisher film. However, after the director and its main star, Thomas Jane, walked over creative differences, the movie was retooled and was now billed as a reboot of the Punisher franchise, as Ray Stevenson was now taking over the part of the Punisher. Which, watching the movie now, I can kind of see why they would think it was a reboot, but it also feels like a pseudo-sequel to The Punisher 2004. It could fit into that continuity. It could. There's just a few details they'd need to change around, but it could fit into that continuity. This movie was released into theaters on December 5th, 2008. This movie came out the same year as The Dark Knight, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man. In that respect, it's kind of forgotten among those superhero films of that year. And it came out close to Christmas. That's so weird. Who made that decision? I want to know. Who made the choice to put this out in December? This is not a Christmas movie. Not in any way, shape, or form. This came out on DVD/Blu-ray on March 27th, 2009. There was both a single DVD and a 2-disc DVD release. The 2-disc version included a digital copy. That's what your extra disc was. No bonus content on that second disc. That's what your digital copy was. As I mentioned last week, on February 15th, 2011, Punisher Warzone was included in a Blu-ray 2-pack with The Punisher from 2004. Still makes absolutely no sense to me why that was released a day after Valentine's Day. That's great, hun. Let's go out to dinner on Valentine's Day, and then the day after, let's watch the Punisher films, you know? This movie was then repacked in a Walmart exclusive 3-pack Blu-ray on September 9th, 2014. This 3-pack included Terminator 2, Red Heat, and Punisher Warzone. Only movie I've heard of in that 3-pack, aside from Warzone, is Terminator 2. One of my favorites. I hope to cover that on the show one day. Red Heat, I think I've heard of. I don't know anything about it, though. Other than that, this 3-pack makes absolutely no sense. I don't know why this was packaged with Terminator 2. And then 4 years later, on September 25th, Warzone made its way onto the 4K Blu-ray format. 4 years being September 25th, 2018, I should say. So not a lot of love for Punisher Warzone, and I think it's because this movie underperformed at the box office. Critics were not a fan of this film, and neither were fans of the Punisher franchise. And even when I first saw it, I wasn't really a fan of it. I really didn't enjoy this movie first time I saw it. I was a little bit younger. I had just picked up the 2-disc DVD version of Warzone in a lot on eBay, and I had never seen it. I've been wanting to see it for a while, and when I watched it, I wasn't a big fan of it. Spoiler alert for the close-up section, I've now got the 4K transfer of it, and it looks pretty daggone decent. I like how it looks better than how it looked on DVD. Anything is an upgrade from that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move on to the close-up section of Punisher Warzone. Alright folks, here is your close-up of Punisher Warzone. Up here at the top, Vengeance has a name. Ray Stevenson as the Punisher there, holding a couple of 1911s there in his hands. Nice pistol those are. Punisher Warzone down there at the bottom. 2-disc special version down here at the bottom. Marvel Knights logo down there as well. The side features the Punisher skull, 2-disc special version, Punisher Warzone, DVD Lionsgate, the back, Ray Stevenson firing one of his pistols. UPC code there, blurb about the movie, your list of special features. Got a whole lot of special features here. And then disc 2, as I previously mentioned, is just a digital copy of the feature film. Kind of disappointing there. Got a little thing down here that says digital copy also included, legalese, technical specifications and such down there on the bottom. And this is a slipcover. Really nice slipcover, actually. Love me some slipcovers. Same image, same spine, and the exact same back. Nothing has been changed here, which is surprising. Thought there were security clips there, but I guess there's not. On the inside, there's your film/bonus features disc, and if you flip it over, there's your second disc. You can see it's labeled there, disc 2 digital copy. And what's that little blurb on the disc say? For use only in Mac or Windows PC DVD drivers, disc will not function in a standalone DVD player. So you all know me, you know I couldn't just live my life happily with only owning Punisher Warzone on DVD. You know I had to eventually upgrade it, and when I did, I went all the way. Here's the 4K edition of Punisher Warzone. It's the exact same poster as on the DVD, except now you've got the 4K banner up there at the top listing your contents, and the Marvel Knights logo has been moved to this side instead of it being on this side. The spine's pretty much the same, except it's now just the logo, and the Ultra HD Blu-ray logo down there at the bottom. The back features the same image, same blurb, and I'm assuming the same bonus content. I didn't read what was on the DVD, but I think it's pretty much the same stuff. And unlike with the 2004 Punisher film, the 4K has your special features, and so does the Blu-ray. Interesting enough. Standard stuff about explaining what a 4K is and what you'll need for it. Legalese and such down at the bottom. Take off your slipcover. Same front poster. Same spine. And a similar back, except now you've got cast and crew information down there at the bottom. There's what your Blu-ray disc looks like. It's the exact same artwork as on the DVD. And your 4K is similar, except now you've got your 4K Ultra HD right there on the side instead of on the bottom, like a little ribbon there. So that is your close-up. Let's move right along to the menu tour. Okay, folks, here we are for a menu tour of Punisher Warzone. We're only taking a look at the first disc here for the DVD, because as I said in the close-up section, the digital copy disc will not work in a standard player. Although the Xbox One S is not a standard player, it's a game console, so maybe we'd unlock something special? I'm kidding, of course we wouldn't. So for our menu here, we've got Play Movie, Setup, Scene Selection, and Special Features. Pretty standard across Lionsgate releases. And look, our little selector thing is a little targeting crosshair. That's kind of cool. Setup, we have a English 5.1 mix and an English 2.0 mix. And for subtitles, English and Spanish. For scene selection, all of our scenes have a name on them. And let's see how many scenes we actually have here. 24 scenes, exactly. So that's kind of cool. And you've got Jigsaw over there on the right, and Ray Stevens' Punisher down there on the left. And for special features, there's our audio commentary with director Lexi Alexander and the director of photography Steve Gaynor, making of Punisher Warzone, meet Jigsaw. The weapons of the Punisher training to become the Punisher, creating the look of the film, theatrical trailer, and also from Lionsgate, which I assume is just watching the trailers that are on this disc again. Welcome back for the Blu-ray menu of Punisher Warzone. This menu is already way better than 2004's Punisher's menu, because it actually has, options rather than just laying everything out lazily here. We got Play Movie, Setup, For audio, we got an English 7.1 mix and a French 5.1 mix. Hey, another language coming onto here. For subtitles, Spanish and 2 versions of English. No French subtitles, though. You can watch the movie in French, you just can't read the movie in French. Menu options, menu effects. That's interesting. Guess that's how fast your options appear to you, because this looks like it's in 60 frames a second, how these menu options are appearing to me here. For scenes, I think we have the same number of scenes as on the DVD, and these titles all look fairly familiar. 16 scenes. Special features include our audio commentary, the making of Punisher Warzone, Meet Jigsaw, Weapons of the Punisher, Training to Become the Punisher, Creating the Look of the Film, theatrical trailer, and also from Lionsgate. Molog, I have no idea what that is. And then bookmarks. So there's nothing really exclusive to this Blu-ray. It's all the same special features you could find on the lower quality release. Except for that Molog thing. I have no idea what that is. And here we are, folks, for the 4K menu tour of Punisher Warzone. Look at all those guns surrounding the picture of the film. That's interesting. We got play movie, setup, scenes, special features, same options as on the Blu-ray. Setup for audio, we got a Dolby Atmos mix and French 5.1. Still no Spanish. And still no French subtitles either. People who watch the movie and want to hear the dialogue hate Spanish people, and the ones who want to read the subtitles hate French people. That's how I'm going to categorize this from now on. Scenes, the titles have been taken out. They're all just numbers now. I think we have the same numbers on the Blu-ray. Yep, 16 scenes. Special features, audio commentary returns once again. Making, Meet Jigsaw, Weapons, Training, Creating the Look, theatrical trailer. The Molog thing is gone, but the bookmarks remains. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel bad for speeding through the 4K menu, but there's really nothing to look at except for the lovely, lovely guns up here. One of them is a grenade launcher. Pretty sure one of them is an AR-15. I hope I don't get demonetized for saying the names of guns. Oh, one of them's got Frank's name on it and a little Punisher skull. It's kind of cool. But that is it for this menu tour. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? I see the 2004 Punisher on shelves a lot more than I see Warzone, especially the 4K version of the Punisher from 2004. I don't see Warzone on shelves on 4K anymore like I did when it was first released. You're definitely going to want to look online for this one. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? This I can firmly answer a hard no. Number 3, should you pick this product up? I said earlier in the history section I wasn't a big fan of this movie watching it for the first time. Watching it for this HMR was my second time watching it. I have not gone back to it since I saw it for the first time. And watching it now, after reading a few Punisher comics, including Welcome Back Frank, this movie's pretty damn fun. I definitely liked it a lot more the second time. When I saw it the first time, I wasn't a big fan of Ray Stevenson as the title character. I thought he was kind of drab and didn't really do a lot with the role. Watching him now, he's kind of straight Welcome Back Frank style Punisher. He's way more drab than Thomas Jane was in his role, not as jovial, although I wouldn't necessarily consider the Punisher a jovial character, but Ray Stevenson's way more dark and dramatic than Thomas Jane's Punisher was. But I very much enjoyed him. He's kind of a mix in between the 3 Punishers we've got now. Each Punisher has been a different tonal shift in between their films and their performances, and that I kind of am interested by. While I think John Bernthal is the absolute greatest Punisher we've ever received on screen, Ray Stevenson's not that far off from the comic book interpretation of the Punisher Max series or Welcome Back Frank by Garth Ennis. So Stevenson, I gotta give you points here. I thought you were really good as this character. You turned me around, man, and I didn't think the fat skull on his body armor was all that stupid, because in Welcome Back Frank, it has a fat skull, and I kind of got used to it then. So here, I didn't think the Fat Skull was all that bad. I used to not really like the Fat Skull, and now I'm kind of accepting of it. He looks badass in that thing, actually. The other characters in this film, they could be written better, I gotta say. I didn't feel a lot for anyone else. I did notice, though, that, what was his name? Agent Bodiansky, I think? The black guy who played Walter Steele on Arrow. I noticed he was in this movie, and he gave a pretty good performance. I wish his character was written better, but the performance that he gave was pretty good. I mentioned earlier I've read Welcome Back, Frank. Detective Martin Soap makes his first appearance in the live-action Punisher films, and the guy that played him here was pretty spot on to the comic version of Martin Soap. It's such a weird name. Martin Soap. It only could come out of a comic book. The guy who is going for it in this movie is Billy the Beaut, or, as I know him from the Netflix series, Billy Russo, although I don't think they ever call him Billy Russo in this movie. But that's his real name. Played by Dominic West, who I know from Tomb Raider, from 2018, actually. I don't know Dominic West from much, but apparently he's a good actor. Not here. He goes for it. He really does. He tries his damn best to chew the scenery, but he just comes off as annoying. And I felt nothing for his character. I really gotta give him props for really going for it on several occasions, trying to give an over-the-top villainous performance. But man, he got annoying real fast. And that makeup was just gaudish. I get it. The character of Jigsaw in the comics is insane. His look is insane. But there are some things from comic books that don't translate well into film. Jigsaw is one of them, especially the design of his scarage in this movie on his face. It looks really off. It looks like he should be dead, actually, which in real life, he would be dead. I hate to keep going back to the Netflix series to compare things here, but it's hard not to. Billy Russo in the Netflix series, he didn't have enough scars on his face. He was like, it looked like he hadn't had his face shoved into a mirror. Billy Russo here looks like his head should have been cut clean off by all of the glass that Punisher threw him into at the glass plant. There's a happy medium in the middle of those two interpretations of this character, where I think the scarage should be, and where I think the performances should be as well. Because I got issues with Season 2's version of Jigsaw for the Punisher. I got issues with the Jigsaw and Punisher Warzone. In the middle is a perfect Jigsaw performance that we have not gotten yet. The Netflix one is on the side of tempered and just really subtle in his performance, while Warzone is on the side of over the freaking top and doesn't know when to shut his mouth side of things. And hey, one last performance to talk about before we move on to action sequences. Newman! He's here! Wayne Knight gives a pretty good performance in almost everything that he's in. He's most iconic for Newman, but here as Microchip, pretty great. And unlike every other character in this movie, I felt for Wayne Knight when he got his brains blown out. That really sucked. I didn't want to see him go. I don't even have the energy to talk about the woman in this movie, the woman of the cop that the Punisher kills, or the wife of the cop that the Punisher kills, I should say. I remember nothing about her. She was a nothing role for me, and the actress did nothing with that character to make her memorable. It was a bad performance all around, and poorly written as well. The action sequences, though, in this movie are, wow. This movie earns its hard R rating. This stuff is, like, almost X-rated at times. The opening raid on the mob boss's house is some of the best Punisher action I've ever seen. I mean, you just have got to watch it. I can't even describe it to you here. You just got to go out, watch that part of this movie. Whether or not I recommend this movie, go out and watch that opening fight scene. It's insane and highly satisfying if you're a Punisher fan. So a great lead performance, some pretty okay performances around him, highly stupendous action sequences. What about this movie doesn't work is the story. It's bland. Nothing really happens. Nothing that I can recite to you really happens in this movie. It's hard to even remember what the main plot is. And this movie is brief. It's like maybe a little over 90 minutes. It's not really all that long, and it felt like an eternity watching it. It felt like it was over 2.5 hours just because of how slow the movie moves. There's not enough action in this movie to call it an action movie even, and there's not good drama to call it a drama. It's hard to characterize what Punisher Warzone really is. It tries to be a hard R-rated action film, but then it moves on to exploring Frank's psyche, which I'm always a fan of. I like to get deeper into the Punisher's psyche, but there's just not a lot there inside of that character to explore. I have to say, though, while I didn't like this movie the first time I saw it, I am glad I went back and gave it a second chance, because I definitely like it a lot more now, and I respect it a lot more now than I did back then. I respect it because this movie was made by a woman. It was directed by Lexi Alexander, I think was her name, and wow, she proved herself. She proved that she can do action with this movie. She's a great action director when the script allows her to direct action. As much as I want to say this movie isn't worth your time, it's got some really great action sequences, and Ray Stevenson is really good as this character. So I'm gonna eke it over the side of just very weak recommend. You should go out and see this movie. You should, because it's really forgotten, in all honesty. It's not underrated, it's forgotten. And I don't think this movie deserves to be forgotten. This isn't a Howard the Duck or a Man Thing where this movie just deserves to rot in the depths of hell because of how bad it is. Punisher Warzone is really not all that bad. It's just kind of bland. It'll just wash right over you after it's done. If you're looking for a fleeting 90-minute movie and you just want something on in the background, pop in Punisher Warzone. Look up when the action sequences are on. Do something else while the dramatic stuff is on. It may not be great, but hey, I eked it, okay? There is a green arrow by this movie. I did recommend it. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Online. I found my 4K copy online, so look there. And number 5, what price should you pay? The DVD of this, not expensive at all. $3-4. Blu-ray is the same deal, maybe 5, 6, maybe up to 10 for that. The 4K, I think, didn't sell very well, at least from what I saw on store shelves, or maybe there just weren't a lot of copies made, because I didn't see this on places like Best Buy shelves all that often. Now, I haven't looked at eBay recently to see how many of these are up on the secondary market, but I'd say around 10 to 15 for the 4K, especially if it's got a slipcover. Well, folks, we've made it to the end of our Punisher series here on HMR. This was fun. I really enjoyed talking about some underrated movies, some forgotten movies, and some movies that should never be seen because of a character that I love. This also proved as an excuse for me to rewatch the Netflix show so I could constantly compare bits and pieces of these movies to that show. And hey, I hated season 2 when I first saw it. Really not that terrible after watching it for a second time. It's not as good as the first one, but it's okay. It's on par, I'd say. Maybe it's like 1 over par. If you play golf, you know what I'm talking about. I don't think my ranking of these movies is going to surprise anybody. Number 1 is obviously Punisher from 2004. Number 2 is Warzone. Number 3 is that Dolph piece of shit from the 1980s. That thing was never getting past number 3. That movie is dog shit. So what's next for our final episode of this miniseries? Well, if you watched that update and announcement video I posted a few weeks ago, you already know you guys actually got to pick the last episode of this miniseries. I went onto a website that is like a spinny wheel thing. I spun the wheel with every suggestion that was left in my comments section, and Cars 2 was the winner. So next week, we're going on to the second installment of the Cars trilogy with Cars 2. Not what I was expecting to win, or what I was expecting to cover after 3 R-rated movies about a guy who shoots people. But you know what? Tonal shifts are what we're all about on this show. So with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, Good night, everybody.